Right, let's do this. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday Q&A. Your chance to watch me spout a load of irreverent nonsense, which I'm still not sure why you watch, but thanks very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Right, the start off there was a statement by Steve Main, who said that these videos do tend to repeat themselves. Yeah, sorry about that. The difficulty I've got, Steve, is the fact that I try and do a load of individual videos, but people keep asking me the same questions. So, for example, I did one Sunday Q&A a couple of weeks ago about insurance, and then the very next day, a guy posted on a thing going, "What kind of insurance do I need?" So, what I am going to do, I'm going to do a few more of the individual ones, and then if people give something in the comments, I can go, there's a video on this. You can go to this video and check it out, which means we can maybe focus a little bit more on the general questions that you're trying to get to the bottom of, which no one knows the answers to. A couple of which we have answers to. Thanks very much to the YouTube community out there, because like I say, I'm just some clueless idiot, a mouthpiece for all you guys who know far better than me. Right, now, what have we got here? There was a question last week. Do you need a CPC certificate if you want to be like an owner driver? I said, I haven't got one. I don't even know what one is. I think, according to Leon Horton, thank you, Leon, it's a certificate, a manager certificate that you need if you're running a company with HGVs. So that presumably is to do with vehicles over 3.5 tonnes that need tachographs and all that kind of stuff. I might do one on operators' licences, because I used to have an operator's licence, but we'll come to that. And then, so only if you only want them certificates if you're in a company, although someone else did make the point, it's not necessarily, you can employ an external transport manager. But if you're just going to drive a van on the CX, not a problem. And the big question that we've been trying to get to the bottom of, again, sorry, I could scroll back and find out who asked it, but I'm lazy. Do you need a tacho to put a car with a trailer? Right, now, I've had a few responses to this, and it is kind of a little bit of a grey area. But I've been trying to read between the lines, and the long and the short of it is, if it weighs more than 3.5 tonnes. So my cousin Darren said, I think your man might need a tacho, because there are vans with tachos that have been fitted at under 3.5 tonnes, but I don't know why. He said, so I thought, well, no, I've followed Darren's link. Hello, cousin Darren. He works for Ricardo now. He used to be a market trader just like me. To the VOSA website, and it basically says, if your total vehicle weight, because this is another weird one. I know that when I used to have a 7.5 tonner, you could do 7.5 tonnes, but if you put a trailer on the back, you could carry like 10, 11 tonnes, because it wasn't all on the one vehicle. It was on two vehicles. Still the same engine, still the same brakes. It's all a bit of a grey area. I'd ring VOSA if I was you, I'd just ask them. But the long and short of it says, if the total weight is over 3.5 tonnes. So I'm thinking, oh God, he's going to need a tacho. That's going to be a bit of a nose, fitting a tacho in a car or like a Ranger or something like that. And I thought, hang on a second, how much does a car weigh? Because it doesn't weigh as much as my van. My van must weigh just over 2 tonnes, and it's bigger than a car. So I think it might be two. I think I've got a laden weight of about just over 1,000 kilos, so probably 2.5 tonnes on my van, and it's much bigger than the car. Your average car weighs 1.4 tonnes. So if your car weighs 1.4 tonnes and the car you're carrying weighs, much like one of the maths questions at school, the train leaves London and is going 68 miles. I used to hate them. I'm probably better on them now. Yeah, I've gone off on a tangent. So if your car weighs 1.4 tonnes and the car you're carrying weighs 1.4 tonnes, that's 2.8 tonnes. That means as long as your trailer, which is probably aluminium with a couple of tyres on and probably doesn't weigh an awful lot, is less than 700 kilos or 700 pounds, whatever it is in a tonne, I don't know, you're still under 3.5 tonnes. So you don't need a tacho. You do, however, apparently need the relevant licence. It's another reason why I turned in my operator's licence. You need a licence now to tow a vehicle. When I used to drive a lorry when I was on the markets, and the idea being I could do 2 markets in one. I'd go to one, unload it, then go to the next one, unload it with the staff light, go to the second one, unload it and work it, then load that one up, then go to the first one. I mean, it's like on Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays, I've got to cover 2 markets out of one vehicle. But then they turned around to me and they said, you've got to do a test now to prove that you can drive a 7.5 tonne. And I thought, I've been driving it through London for the last 10 years through narrow streets, and now you're telling me I need to take a test to prove that I can drive the vehicle I've been driving the last 10 years with no grief. So I just turned it in and got a van. What else we got going? So yeah, the short answer is, do you need a tacho to transport cars? No, not as long as you're under 3.5 tonnes All you need is like a trailer license, which presumably you go and get, like you get your CPGs for your motorbikes, reversing the cones, all that kind of nonsense. What else we got now? New questions. Lakizes Mitev, did my best there. What was his question? Yes. What are you about keeping a fully loaded van overnight? So say, for example, they say picking up at 5 o'clock, dropping off in the morning. Everything you possibly can. I always find if it's on your driveway, it's probably the safest thing. Also, if your van's plain, that's kind of safe. And also, if people know that 90% of the time your van overnight is going to be empty, because you'll drop your last drop at like 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then go home. That's what I tend to do. I'm in a lucky situation in the fact that near where I live, I've got secure parking behind an electric gate, and then also behind a lock gate and with CCTV. That said, I still got my van broken into about 4 months ago where they nicked my phone and stuff out the front, but that was largely partly unlucky. We think the people that were in there were actually not after me, they were after the fuel out of the sky, them Skylift things, which also park in a secure compound where I park, and like an idiot, I knocked it. I hadn't pressed the right button because I was terrified. I thought, they've got one of them computers. They're going to come and nick my van, or they're going to nick all the stuff out. I'm going to put it back in. They're going to nick it again. Touch with nothing since. Also, I think because the compound in the summer, all the foliage and the brambles grow around it, so they can't get in. In the winter, it dies off and they can. So we'll have to have a word about the man in the winter. But yeah, the best you can is the long and the short of it. If you're going to stick it on your driveway, again, going back to my market days, because I used to have a fully loaded van all night, and it had like 10 grand of my stock on it. You can't insure that stock, because it's just not feasible. You can hire it, you can do it goods in transit, but it ain't gonna get nicked in transit. It's gonna nicked overnight, isn't it? Ain't gonna break when you're driving it to market. So what you do is you can get a boot which you can put on your wheel if you want to. This is all handy if you don't want to nick your van as well. You can also put a steering lock on it. You can put it on your driveway, and then you can put your car or your wife's car or your daughter's car in front of it. You can get one of the metal posts on the driveway that click up, and you can put a padlock the best you can. The only snag with all of these things is you're kind of telegraphing, in the fact that if you start putting all this stuff in the van, then people will go, I don't know, that guy's protecting that van. I wonder what's going on there. I think the best thing to do, so we better have a look at that. I think the best thing to do, everything you can, try not to be too obvious about it. Because what they'll do in the end is they'll give up. They'll try and get in, they'll go, there's one of these, there's one of these, there's one of these. Oh, we just go and nick next doors. But yeah, all you can do is the best you can. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to nick anything. Just, best you can. What else we got coming on today? Darren Perrin, we did What's in the Bag. It was kind of irreverent, but there you go. A torch. I did have a torch in my bag because you got one on your phone, but then when I did the flower job for HBC, and they unload all the flowers at 4 o'clock in the morning out in the dark, and you're trying to go like that with a phone, it's much better with a torch. Also makes the point, have a big torch. It's good for checking your van in the morning when you get there, and also one of them ones with a yellow flashing light on top. So if you break down, you can put it behind your van. The truth of the matter is, guys, the more kit you've got, the better. If you've got a yellow torch, fantastic. If you've got jump leads, get long jump leads, get heavy duty jump leads. You never know when you're going to need them, or you might get there and someone else might, but you might get a thing and some guy's got a flat battery. You can do your Good Samaritan bit. You can help a guy out, all this kind of kit's all worth having. Yeah, and also a tramping kit. I mean, I don't put it in my bag, but in my van at any one stage, I carry like a complete change of clothes. So socks, pants. I've got a pair of jeans in there because at the moment I'm wearing shorts, and you never know, you might turn up to a site. I've turned up to sites before where they turn around and go, no shorts, particularly chemical sites. So in which case, what are you going to do? So what you do is quickly jump in your van, no problem, mate, stick my jeans on, you're good to go. I also got 2 coats in there. I've got my high visibility tabard, and I've got the big coat, and I've also got a really long raincoat, which kind of doubles as blankets in case I'm sleeping in the van overnight. There's more kit you can buy. You can get inflatable mattresses for the back. You can get beds for the front. You can get beds for the back. You can get hammocks that you can string between the two. The more kit you got, the better. Because when you turn up, you say, for example, like when I was having a tough time when I come back off holiday and I took that Scotland job, and I didn't know I was going to end up in Scotland at 10 o'clock at night. Still not sure it was the best thing to do. But if I'd have had a hammock, I could strung it up in the back. I might have had a better night's sleep as a result. If also I hadn't parked in a private area, I would have been woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning by a police lady. But there you go. You learn as you go, eh? So anything I'm missing out, anything else that's wise, give us a shout. Valentini Belov did make a point. He said there are strict laws in the UK about carrying knives. Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. I'll be honest with you. I used to have it on my keyring. And the reason I took it off my keyring wasn't because I was going to get nicked. It was because the mechanic turned around and said, you don't want to do that because the weight of your knife, when it pulls down on the barrel, will wear your barrel out an awful lot faster. So I just keep it in my bag and I pull it out when I need to, or you can keep it in the back. As I understand it, the law with carrying knives is you're allowed to carry a knife as long as you've got a good reason to carry a knife. So that the policeman is not going to walk into a butcher's and nick somebody who's standing there with a knife because while you got a knife, mate, I'm cutting meat with it. And when I used to be on the markets, they would say to me, "Why have you got a knife?" And I would go, that was. Why have you got a knife? And I would go, well, I use it to open boxes. No one ever did because I wasn't flashing it around the street. I wasn't carrying it. It used to be in my pocket. Every time the gear would turn up, I'd open the boxes, I'd throw the gear out and I'd put it back in my pocket. So you're kind of okay as long as you've got a good reason to be okay. But the truth of the matter is you don't even need to do it yourself. Just keep it in a box in the van. I've also got a box in the bulkhead of my van. It's got all kinds of stuff in, oil, grease for shutters, spanners, all this stuff, like a mini toolkit. A drill comes in handy. You never know when you might get a job and can you move a bed and you've got to dismantle the bed. A drill, I'll tell you what else are really useful. You get yourself like the box with the Phillips screw heads and the normal screw heads, and you also get Allen screw heads. You put them in the drill because you've got the Allen key, you've got to do like an IKEA and you've got to wind it all around. Get the drill in, that makes life an awful lot easier. So, yeah, there you go. What else have we got here? Haranda Kumar says, how much do you quote at jobs on weekends? Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? As much as you possibly can, because your odds of getting a job back are remote. Having said that, that doesn't mean they want to pay anymore. Be careful with jobs at weekends. I always go, it's probably not too wise to go too far afield. And if you are going to go too far afield, try to get more money out of it. If the job is going from London to Blackpool, rather than quoting them if you're in a small van at 65p a mile, tell them it's got to be nearer 130 a mile because you're going to come back empty. You might settle on £1 a mile. You might be lucky. You might get something on the way back. You might get something partly on the way back, but the odds are much, much smaller because the jobs do happen at weekends, but they don't happen so much. And Bracco Buta said, to do with van insurance, business contract insurance or personal contract insurance? I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what either of those things are. I would say whichever one is cheapest. They all run through the insurance anyway, so just run through the business anyway. It's still a business. Whether you run it on personal, it's still an expense. It's a legitimate business expense. So I would say get the cheapest one you possibly can. That is relevant. Right, so I'm going to do a few more specific videos like I used to. Like I say, bear in mind, they're just my findings of what I've been doing over the last 10 months or so on the CX, just to try, and then we'll try and focus on questions and stuff like that. In the meantime, I think that's about it for today, so I hope you're all good. Have a wonderful Sunday, everybody. I might take the family to the pub. I got a new car yesterday because I need a car to take me from my house to my secure compound where my van is parked, and the old car had basically died. I think I'd had it, it's a Renault Clio. I used to have a Jeep. I had one of them big American sort of, a Cherokee Jeep, and it had it said £70 road tax a month. It was petrol, it didn't go anywhere, but it was petrol, so it drank the petrol. But it had leather seats and it had electric mirrors and electric seats and an on-trip computer and a great big boot where I could shove all the rubbish in. And one day I thought, this is daft, spending all this money running this vehicle. And so I went and bought a Clio. A little silver Clio, and it didn't cost me any money. Really, I ran it for about 7 years. I've hardly spent any money on it, and it was very cheap on tax and very cheap on insurance, and didn't use hardly any fuel, and it was boring. It was really boring, and now I've managed to get a bit of dough together. And it did die basically. I don't think it had any. It's kind of the MOT had kind of run out. So I had the tax, and so had the brakes. So it really did have to go. But I'm going to buy myself a Mini. Yeah, the family's always like Mini, so I'm now in the process of going on Amazon, buying everything I possibly can with Union flags on, so that I've got Union flags all over the place. I'm going to look like Austin Powers by the time this is finished. Yeah, that's about the size of things, so I might take them to the pub in the new car. In the meantime, you go and enjoy your Sunday, hopefully, with your family or with your friends or just chilling. And back to it tomorrow. Like I say, any questions, you know where I am. Anything I've got wrong, please tell me and I'll share it with the class. And in the meantime, take care, take money.